An elderly man is facing charges in an assault earlier this month. On Friday, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office announced the arrest of 25-year-old Rasan David Watkins for an alleged assault that took place on March 1st in Norman. According to the Sheriff's Office, the victim required extended hospital treatment for the injuries sustained. Watkins was arrested on March 16th, charged with assault, inflicting serious bodily injury, and common law robbery, and booked into Richmond County Jail under a $25,000 secured bond. He is scheduled to appear in court on March 30th. Cars, trucks, and motorcycles hit the fresh concrete at Rockingham Dragway on Saturday for blood, sweat, and gears. Drivers smoked tires and put their engines or batteries, for one car in particular, to the test on solo runs and against each other on the recently resurfaced track. The event also featured a car show. Dig or Die returns this coming weekend for the first of 3 no prep events scheduled for the year. Import Face-Off will also be at the Dragway on Sunday. The outcome of Friday's game wasn't as exciting for the Richmond Raider baseball team as it was earlier in the week against its conference rival. Finishing up the 2-game regular season series with the Patriots of Pinecrest, Richmond split following a 10-0 loss in 5 innings. Unlike Tuesday's 10-8 win, the Raiders struggled to get into a rhythm at the plate. Richmond collected just 1 hit against Pinecrest ace Colby Wallace. Head coach Rob Ransom said the Raiders didn't take advantage of opportunities throughout the game, adding that Pinecrest played a better game. Richmond will travel to non-conference West Stanley on Saturday with first pitch set for 2 p.m. A driving rain made field conditions slick during Friday's match, which resulted in the Lady Raiders soccer team's first loss of the season. Less than 24 hours after clinching the program's best start through 8 games in program history, Richmond was shut out for the first time this spring. Returning to conference play, the Lady Raiders hosted Pinecrest, following by a final score of 3-0. An early miscue by the Lady Raiders resulted in a penalty kick goal in the 3rd minute, putting the Lady Patriots ahead 1-0. Taking the kick was Anna Deppenbrock. Richmond will host conference foe Hope County on Tuesday. That game will begin at 7 p.m. Coming up next is C.F. McDowell III with another episode of Richmond Observes and his guest, Dennis Holloway. That's coming up after the break, so stay tuned.
Hometown heroes? Well, maybe. When it comes to backyard comfort and no pesky mosquitoes, call Brown Termite and Pest Control at 910-895-6410 or 910-276-8870. Their team of superheroes can take back control of your paradise. That's 910-895-6410 today.
McNair Auto Sales is the place to buy your pre-owned car, truck, or van. To be the best, it takes big selection, friendly staff, and great pricing. We guarantee a no-hassle buying experience, and financing is available right on site. So come see us today. We're located at 1026 East Broad Avenue in Rockingham. And remember, with over 40 years of experience, you know McNair is the name you can trust.
I'm C.F. McDowell III, and welcome to another edition of Richmond Observes here on the Richmond Observer. It is my privilege to be able to help you meet the people of Richmond County, North Carolina, that make this such a great county and a rich county, and rich we are because of the people. My guest tonight is one who is a native of Richmond County, and he is joining me tonight, and I could about guarantee you that if you Googled the phrase adventurous life, his picture would come up. And my guest is Dennis Holloway. Dennis, thank you for being my guest tonight on Richmond Observes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So I ask you the first question that I ask everybody in these conversations. Who is Dennis Holloway?
Dennis Holloway is a born-again Christian who is trying to make the best out of this world now from the things I've done in the past. So I'm trying to do a lot more better things now than I've done before.
Okay. Well, as I said in my introduction, you have quite an adventurous life to recall. I've enjoyed hearing some of your stories and our own conversations. Tell me, what's a memorable adventure from your days as a paratrooper?
Well, I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, and I had been in probably about 6 months when I received orders to go to South Vietnam. And my last jump on a C-130 airplane before I deployed, I got hung behind that airplane.
Hung behind the airplane.
Hung behind the airplane. I stayed behind the airplane for probably almost 2 hours. And they had actually phoned Pope Field. They were going to land the plane with me towed behind it. But I finally got myself loose. I had to stay in the hospital probably 6 months after that. But when I came to Womack Army Hospital to be treated, my sergeant major was waiting for me, and he told me they had phoned Pope Field. Well, I says, well, thank the Lord. I says, they were going to take care of me. He said, no, you were expendable. He said, we're looking after that C-130 airplane. It cost a lot more than you did. He said that when you hit the tarmac, you would have been dead. So they were afraid my harness would ignite sparks that might have caused a fire in that plane. But I'm still here.
You're still here. And man, what an adventure that had to be.
It was. It certainly was. But you know, I've always had a fear of heights, but I would jump out of another airplane today. I just can't stand to look down at heights. So the airplanes don't scare me, the skydiving don't scare me, none of that scares me. Just a fear of heights.
Okay. Well, I know that you had a long career as a wildlife officer for the state of North Carolina. Tell us where you served as a wildlife officer, but what was a memorable adventure as an officer?
Well, I served for 35 years as a state wildlife enforcement officer, and I worked eastern North Carolina. From Fayetteville down to the coast, every other weekend I would have to work the coast. But the last years that I worked, probably the last 5 or 6 years, I was the state covert officer, which meant I had to get with the people and work with them and party with them, whatever they did, to entrap them into selling things to me that I wanted to buy from them. And I was in Tellico Plains, Tennessee, when these two guys that looked like they were straight out of one of the movies where they had kidnapped these guys and killed one of them or so. But one of the guys pulled a pistol out and put it to another officer's head that was working with me. He was from Tennessee Wildlife. And he said he was going to kill him. And I thought to myself, if he kills him, he's got to kill me. And so I had a .38 pistol in my cowboy boots. I wore cowboy boots all the time back then. I don't wear them now for one reason. You can't pull a pistol out of a cowboy boot because that thing folds over the butt of that thing and you can't get it out. So I had in my mind that I was going to get up and shoot just as quick as I could because I knew he wanted to kill me too. But you know, thank the Lord, all of a sudden he uncocked that pistol and he said, well, maybe you're telling the truth. It had to be divine intervention. But I'm going to tell you what, I haven't put a pair of cowboy boots on since then. I just do not wear them.
Well, that was definitely memorable.
It was. It certainly was.
I've heard you say that you used to be a motorcycle rider. What's a memorable memory or memorable adventure on a motorcycle?
Probably riding from Daytona Beach in the driving rain back to Rockingham and seeing one little head or tail light in front of me. It was the only navigation instrument I had to follow. And I followed it all the way back to Rockingham. And that's the last time I rode at night in a driving rain on a motorcycle. Because it just put the fear in me, especially when the first time I stopped back in Rockingham and put my feet on the concrete, a bolt of lightning hit probably 35 or 40 yards from me. I pulled my feet back up and rode the rest of the way home. I did not want to do that anymore. That's one of the reasons I finally got rid of my motorcycle. I'd been an adamant rider for years and years since I was a teenager. But that put the fear in me that time, and I had to hang it up.
Do you recall how long it took you to ride from Daytona Beach back to Rockingham?
It seemed like eternity. But I'm not sure. I know it was probably 8 to 10 hours straight coming through there without stopping except for gas.
Mm-hmm. Well, regarding your adventurous life, there's something adventurous that I know you do that's related to why you're wearing a yellow and blue hat. For our conversation, please explain what the yellow shirt and the blue hat represent.
The yellow hat, it's yellow hat until you get to wear a blue hat. A blue hat is a team leader hat. That's the ones that have been in all kind of instances with the Baptist on missions and has learned through mistakes a lot of times how to deal with certain problems, such as, when they have hurricanes, tornadoes, or whatever. And the yellow shirt is just what all the states use. They wear a yellow shirt. All the disaster relief Baptists on missions in different states and North Carolina, we all wear the yellow shirts. And that takes us apart from the rest of recovery people. They all got their colors on, but we all go by the yellow shirt. And we had the tornadoes in Fayetteville, I was working up there, and we were putting a lot of tarps on a lot of houses, the blue tarps. And the most notable thing I remember seeing, those men working, I mean, just busy as they could be, was all you saw was yellow, 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 and blue. The blue was the tarps, and the yellow was all those men working around just feverishly trying to get that house covered up to stop the leaks inside it. And that's my reward right now, is helping people through that ministry. I just got back from Florida with Hurricane Ian, and it was terrible to see what that hurricane had done to those people. They've lost everything that they had on this earth. I had one of them stop me, a lady stopped me. I was riding in an area and she was coming by with arms just a-flailing, just like that, wanting somebody to stop. And when I finally stopped, she just broke into tears, just cried. She couldn't stop. And she said, just please tell me you're here to help me, that we just don't know what to do now. So I said, tell me where you live and I'll take you there and I'll tell you what we can do for you. I said, we'll make it a little easier. We won't fix everything right now, but we'll make it easier for you. And that just, the look on their face when you've told them that you're gonna help them, you're for them, that they change right then. They know that somebody's there to help them. And we let them know, that this is God driven. Our first duty when we get there is to find out somebody that is needing help from God. A lot of people don't know God. We see so many confessions when we go to an area like that where people, they don't have anybody else to turn to, but they can always turn to God. And we explain that to them. And by the time we leave there, we've had so many of them, they are ready to walk with God then, because they know that somebody was there from God. I went to one, I think it was in New Bern. We were on a hurricane there, and they were talking about the people. We had a devotion every night, and everybody would come in and they'd give a devotion and a testimony of what they had seen and what they had done. This one guy came in and he hadn't changed his clothes, he hadn't taken a shower. We always took a shower before we went to the devotion and our meal. And I talked about him, you should never talk about people like that. Don't judge them. But this one guy was nasty. He was running a chainsaw crew. And I told the guys with him, I said, you watch him, he'll be the first one that wants to tell something. And sure enough, he raised his hand first. And he said that he had got a report and all the paperwork to go to a lady's house, but it was in the ritzy section of town. And I told him, I said, well, he'll probably go out there. And he said, yeah, I went out to check on it. He said, I didn't want to because they got plenty of money. He said, I rang the doorbell. I said, I was getting ready to leave, and the doorbell just opened real slowly. And some elderly lady, barely walking, came to the door and says, please forgive me. Says, my husband died 2 years ago, and I don't have much longer to die. I'm dying with cancer right now. Says, I don't know anybody here. And said, I shouldn't have bothered you, but I knew you guys were Christians, and I wanted somebody to tell me about Jesus. I almost fell out because I had judged him, and of course he had judged them. We have a habit of judging one another, and that's what we're told to do. If somebody wants, it don't matter how busy we are, what we're doing. If anybody wants to know about Jesus, we stop everything we're doing and we sit down with them and we'll talk to them as long as we can.
Y'all are truly being the presence of Christ in these communities like you were after Hurricane Matthew and Hurricane Florence. And I remember after Hurricane Katrina, I think that was in 2005,
it was.
The CBS News, the national news, did a story on you guys in the yellow shirts.
That's right.
And I remember how inspiring that story was. But the last question I ask you, Dennis, regarding the adventuresome life that you have lived, you talked about jumping with a parachute.
Yes, sir.
And that you're afraid of heights. If you had a chance to jump and land anywhere in the world that you could, what would be your favorite chosen spot for parachuting into a spot somewhere in the world?
It would have to be Alaska.
Okay.
I would love to go to Alaska because of the wilderness. I've grown up as an outdoorsman. I didn't do good in school because my mind was wandering all the time. I'd rather be somewhere else. If I had my life to do over again, I would choose to move to Alaska tomorrow. Because they still got the wildlife there that we used to have here hundreds of years ago. And I would just love to go there. That would be it. I would jump in there a minute.
Would you?
I certainly would.
Well, what an adventurous life you have lived, and thank you for being my guest. Thank you for sharing the adventures from your life, Dennis. I appreciate this. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to this edition of Richmond Observes. I want to thank my cameraman and executive producer, Russell Parker, my other cameraman, Charlie Melvin, and to remind all of us to keep doing our part to help make Richmond County the richest county in North Carolina. And as my late friend Jimmy Gerald, who they called Jimmy G from Columbus County, as he loved to say, give a smile away every day. And that's a way you can help keep Richmond County as rich as it is. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.
At Richmond County Hospice, we strive to provide high-quality care to our patients and their families. Whether it's the incredible hospitality at the Haven House or from the comfort of your own home, you can count on hospice to be there for you. We also offer monthly grief support groups, and our chaplain will be there to hold your hand in prayer. Through our amazing staff and our volunteers, hospice has made difficult times easier for our community. Call the number on your screen if you feel that you or your loved one may benefit from our services. Richmond County Hospice. Peace, comfort, dignity.
And welcome to your Live 5 Weather Report, Richmond County. Hope your Monday is going well and you are staying warm out there because it has been a pretty chilly weekend. We saw just coming off Saturday and Sunday, and today has been even colder as we have been seeing freeze warnings throughout the weekend, and that's going to be continuing on through today, tonight, and early into the morning up until 9 a.m. for tomorrow. So if you have crops out there, farmers, I know you probably are already aware of the cold conditions that are ahead, and it's been going on already, but yeah, freeze warning in effect right now for sure. And looking at tonight, we're going to be seeing those temperatures drop back into the mid to low 30s throughout the entire time that sun is down, which will be at 7:30 p.m. tonight. 6 o'clock, 53 degrees, 9 o'clock, 43. 11 o'clock will be at 39, and waning crescent moon phase will be out for tonight as well. Looking at the forecast for tomorrow, we got more clear skies along the way, just like we sang today, but temperatures are going to be still below freezing for some areas, as again, freeze warning in effect till tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Cumberland County, a high of 63, low of 31. Hope County, just 1 degree cooler on the low. Robeson County, a high of 63 and a low of 30 as well, with Scotland County seeing a high of 63 and a low of 31. Up in Moore County, pretty chilly up there, a high of 62, low of 29. For Richmond and Anson counties, we'll be seeing a high of 62 and a low of 30, and Marlboro County, high of 62 and a low of 31. Looking at the forecast for the next 7 days, we do got some nice warm temperatures coming up later into the week, but for now we're still going to be dealing with some colder temperatures, although Wednesday looking a little bit better, high of 65, low of 40 with cloudy skies. Thursday follows up with partly cloudy skies at a high of 79 and a low of 53, and then Friday looking nice, warm and crisp, high of 82, low of 58. We'll be seeing sunny skies. Rain chances do come up on Saturday, a 40% chance, high of 77, low of 61. Sunday, partly cloudy skies with a high of 73 and a low of 48. And then on Monday, 40% chance of rain, high of 64 and a low of 51. So good mixture of weather coming up ahead. Tomorrow, luckily the last day in the forecast here for below freezing temperatures. Just slight coolness going on throughout the rest of the week until we get into Friday. Actually, really, it could even play it up with Thursday as it being right on the cusp of 80-degree temperatures. So as we get through Tuesday tomorrow, things will start looking a little bit better. But that's going to do it for your Live at 5 weather report and for tonight's edition of Live at 5. For the latest news, sports, and events happening in Richmond County, you can always visit richmondobserver.com or download the free RO app for your mobile devices. For the Live at 5 crew, I'm Russell Parker. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, Richmond County.